One of the things I've noticed over time, especially recently, is that there is an increasing epidemic of insomnia. A few years ago, if you looked at the supplement section, you would not see any sleep supplements. And now every time, like the health food store, that section continues to increase. People are taking like melatonin and valerian and all kinds of supplements to sleep, or they're thinking, well, what did I eat last night because I did not sleep? And it's really rapidly increasing. You are hearing, though, in the news that people are doing odd things in their sleep because they're not only are people having trouble sleeping, but when they're sleeping, they're not actually sleeping. There's part of them that's sleeping, and then there's part of them that's still awake. So the whole quality of sleep is changing, and so that's what I want to address, why that's happening. A lot of it is because I was recently watching a show that was from the 60s, and I noticed that people talked so slowly compared to how we talk today. And we talk today really fast, and our brain works really fast, and when they do brain scans, they see that there's so much more activity going on because the speed of thought that the computer demands, it's like a treadmill. You know, when you turn up the treadmill, you're just moving faster, and the treadmill, that is the computer, causes our brain in one moment to be reading an email from my mom, and another to be reading from my boss, and another from halfway around the world. And while this is all occurring, my brain, what do you think it's doing? It's going, you're like, whoa, where are we going, Josh? And it's doing things that are, a generation ago, no brain could have done that kind of acrobatics to switch around into different websites in a second. And so I think what people need to understand is, you say if the normal brain speed was 40 miles an hour, and then the computer jacks that up to 80 miles an hour because we're processing so much information so quickly, then you can't go from 80 miles an hour down to 0 and go to sleep. So a brain, it takes not 10 minutes or 30 minutes, it could take hours for the brain for the individual to breathe, for the brain to slow down. And part of the problem is that how people will do that often is by watching TV, and the light from the TV is what keeps you awake. So your body can't go from, so say you've gone from your computer, now you're at the TV, but it's still this light coming in, so your body doesn't know that it's dark. But even without the TV and even without the computer, we have so much going on in our head. When I was growing up, people had Saturday and Sunday, nothing happened. Nothing was open. A lot of times people either call Saturday or Sunday the Sabbath, and it was a day of rest, or the weekend was a rest, and people would literally chill out. Today, you talk to people, what are you doing this weekend? Well, Saturday, I'm doing this, and this, and Sunday, oh my God, I'm going out of town, and in the afternoon I'm going to here. One day I was at a restaurant and I heard what people were saying, and then I thought they were talking about what they're going to do that week, and at the end, it turned out they were going to do it that day. And so we have a way that we rush through life at a pace that we want to, by wanting to get it all squeezed in, we can kind of miss out on what actually happened. It's like when people, you know those books where it's 7 cities in 7 days? And so the thing is, you may have been in those 7 cities, but then when you're looking at the pictures, you're like, was that Amsterdam or was that Paris? And it's all like a blur. And so people are trying to get in all these experiences, but the depth of the experience can sometimes be compromised. But regarding the sleep, The body needs time to wind down. When you try to turn off your computer and then it just winds down and just closes all the different programs. So for sleep, we need to have boundaries that say, well, not necessarily. Some people have no problem with this. They can work on their computer and fall asleep right away, just like people can drink a cup of coffee and fall asleep right away. So we are all different. But I'm talking about people who have trouble sleeping, which is an increasing number of people, that they understand that just like the computer winds down, our brain needs to wind down and find ways to breathe, go for a walk, do things that are relaxing, and find a pattern for that individual that works for them. Another thing about sleep is that there is a very strong correlation between sleep and weight loss. That a lot of people try a lot of things for weight loss. And one of the things that really works is to get good quality sleep. Because then during the day, the person is not in fight or flight mode, and they make better choices about what to be eating in a more structured way. For people who are struggling with insomnia, I think it's important that they understand and keep a diary of what they did in the evening hours from 6 until the time they fell asleep. And to find ways to correlate and find a pattern of what works for them and what doesn't work for them. It could be around what they ate for dinner, whether they do better on a high carb dinner or a high protein dinner, if there's any correlation between working on a computer or watching television. Maybe they're with their partner and they just have a good talk and they sleep better. There's evidence that people who socialize sleep better than people who are sequestered and on their own. Because the people who are socializing, they're getting it off their chest and they're talking about everything, and people who are on their own, they're taking those issues to bed with themselves and sorting it out in their dreams or in their nightmares. And so having some kind of a diary is really important, and for our graduates to never underestimate this issue with their clients and be sure you ask about sleep quality. A lot of times people have a partner who snores or is restless or pulls the sheets, and a lot of times people just don't have good enough curtains, so they wake up. Being able to find what those things are is really important. It's also really important, the quality of the food that we eat is important for every aspect of life. When we're eating artificial, chemicalized junk foods, it disturbs our body. Yes, our lymph system and our liver knows how to deal with it, but it puts extra stress on us. And because at nighttime everything else is at rest, a lot of times people's sleep problems are related to digestion. The difficulty in either having a heavy meal can interrupt sleep or an unhealthy meal. And so we want to be able to bring it all together, and that's where a health coach is really helpful, because they'll be able to decipher the pattern much better than the individual will be able to see for themselves.